Hi, and welcome to College Planning Untangled, where we help families simplify the college planning process and just make this a little bit easier for everybody. I'm Kristin Clark. I'm a career exploration coach, and I work with 16 to 26-year-olds. I'm here with Bobby Hood, our SAT ACT guru, and we're here to talk today, Bobby, about junior year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's time, like I said last week or 2 weeks ago, my students are starting to get their PSAT scores back. And that's sometimes the first time that your high school junior is ready to start talking about college, right?
Oh, for sure.
Before that, they're just like, I don't know, they don't care about the tests, whatever. But then people start getting their scores back and start comparing them. Right.
Well, for sure. And Bobby, you're right. This is kind of when at home you're going to start to hear them talking or getting a little bit anxious about college because everybody else is talking about it as well. Right. Yeah. So we have a college planning timeline that I'm going to put in the comments so that people have this. But we're going to talk today a little bit about what juniors need to get accomplished so that parents are in the know, because I know, Bobby, the kids find out at school and sometimes it doesn't trickle home.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, let's give them an idea of what needs to happen. And let's talk, I think it's important for us to talk about this winter, what all the happenings, and then let's give them a little feel for what they need to do in the spring as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, especially if it's your first kid going to college, I mean, you don't know what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it. And you feel like you're just lost in the wilderness, right? And if you listen to the other parents, you're going to get all kinds of crazy ideas, right? You're going to think that you're way behind, that they've done all this stuff that you haven't done. But right now in junior year, if you start talking about it now, there's really not even that much to do yet. But you need to start talking about it, because otherwise you're going to be having really awkward and painful conversations, later on when you feel like you're really late.
I'm glad you brought that up. I agree with you. It's more about getting everybody used to this conversation, making it a regular occurrence in your house. So not, you don't get into senior year and then all of a sudden everybody's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're already talking about this stuff. And really the first thing that you should be talking about, and actually you should have kind of been starting that at the beginning of this year, but again, you're doing just fine, is to start exploring some career ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right. Because you can't really start the rest of the process until you know that, because otherwise you're just picking colleges because you've heard of their football team or something, right? Or because older friends of yours went there or your parents went there. And that's not how you should pick a college.
No. And I'll backfill that a little bit for parents. When you think about your career first, it's so much easier to figure out the rest of the college planning process, because I'll give you this scenario. SATs, that we're going to talk a lot about that today, SATs and ACTs. When you know what you're thinking about as far as a career, it's really easy then to go, okay, well, what college specializes in that? Or what college has those types of classes? And a lot of things, most colleges will cover. But here's the other thing it helps you do. When you go to visit that college, now you get to go to that school within the school and ask them pointed questions. Your kid can figure out, are these truly? And then the other opportunity you have is this: when they pick a college, they can now understand what ACT and SAT scores you need to get into that college.
Right. Absolutely. Because you don't know what a good score is, because a good score is what gets you into a college where you'll be happy, be able to pursue the major you want. And also, when you get around in the summer to starting to write those essays to colleges, what you need to do in one of your college essays is say, hey, the reason I want to come to this college is because I love the campus, I love the professors, I want to major in this major, I really enjoyed that you have this new computer lab in that major and whatever, and that you blah, 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 right? You want to show that you have asked the questions, that you've visited, that you've been, right? That is showing demonstrated attendance and attending, and that is absolutely a factor in getting accepted.
Yeah. So first step, if you haven't started this already, start talking about careers. Now let's talk about winter. So now you got to start making those college lists, and you might not be ready to go visit those colleges yet, but it's worthwhile because there's some time and energy that needs to go into this. Start talking about what colleges are those out there that they might want to go to, because here's the other key. you might be more attuned to what colleges are around than your student will be, and they can start listening to what their friends are saying and other people, so that they can get interest in, oh yeah, I actually want to do, I want to go out and visit that college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And absolutely, that's another thing too, is that you can't do a very good job of just picking colleges.
I'm not sure what Bobby was going to say there,
yeah.
but when, the other thing that we're going to talk about is the SAT and ACTs. Is that where you're headed?
Oh yeah. Well, I was saying that you need to know like what a college is like. So you need to go visit campuses, and then you need to talk to them about, or look on their website and see what SAT and ACT scores they require, or that are helpful to get in. And what is so much common nowadays is these defined benefit scholarships, where I have a parent who reached out this week and said, okay, my student, if they can get a 1210 on the SAT, they have a 1080, and if they can get a 1210, then they get this particular scholarship in Florida or whatever it is, right? And so find those numbers, because then it's like, okay, now I have an actual goal instead of just like do well on the SAT and ACT or whatever. Right?
Yeah, I know. Well, we know that you helped my kiddo go from a 29 to a 32, and it got him full, scholarship to Alabama.
It's amazing how much a difference that makes. Absolutely.
Right. I mean, it was huge. So yeah, we got to know that stuff. And this is really the season of SAT and ACT prep and all the good stuff. So what do they need to know about winter?
Well, yeah. So the thing is, in the winter, like, you've got your PSAT score back. And a lot of times then that makes students just think, okay, the next step is take the SAT, right? But it's not necessarily the SAT. It's the SAT or the ACT. Or if you're applying in, say, state colleges in California, those colleges are test blind and neither, right? But probably you're going to be applying somewhere that needs an SAT or ACT score. Most students, most schools are moving back off of the test optional thing. They are recognizing that test scores are something that they want. And so what you've got to figure out is, do I want to take the ACT or the SAT? Don't just default into the SAT. So far, this new digital SAT has had very strange and erratic scoring. So even though this new digital SAT is a little shorter to take, it's not really consistent enough for most students that I would recommend at least putting all your eggs in that basket, right? For most students, my opinion is the ACT is going to be an easier test for students to get a big increase on and to get done with. And there's another thing that we have mentioned briefly the ACT is going to change formats next fall to a computer version, and we don't really know that much about what the change is going to be. So if you are a junior, get your tests done this spring, right?
Yeah.
You've got the ACT in February, April, June, July. Get your ACT done there. Also, you have SAT in March, May, June. Get your SAT or ACT done while you're a junior, so you don't have to mess with it while you're a senior.
And hopefully the ACT family figured out what the SAT did wrong, right?
Right. Hopefully, right. And yeah, the one thing that's going to be very strange with next fall with ACT is they're going to make it computer, but it's not going to be adaptive like the SAT. It's going to be just a test that's on computer. But they are making the science section optional, which is very strange. So you can take all 4 sections, or you can take just 3 sections. But then are colleges going to say, well, we want all 4, or are we going to let you take the optional 3 without science? We don't know what the response to that's going to be. So it's going to be this weird world next fall. So
get her done.
Get it done. Yeah. Even if you're a sophomore, maybe consider like just getting it done, and that's it. But that's something that it's now just time to start talking about, right? And maybe they took the PSAT, so they know what that's like. Maybe take a practice ACT. People can contact me directly on my website, right? We've got my website here, just going in below. Just contact me. I'll provide a practice ACT that you can take for free at home and find out how where you are. And I can give you advice about what to do for you.
All right. So for winter, we really are talking about making a spreadsheet for colleges so that you know what they cost, what kind of SAT and ACT scores you need. So kind of start that work, and then get that ACT and SAT tests scheduled
right
for the upcoming year. All right. So now when we get in past the holidays, the things that parents need to worry about is start looking for those scholarship opportunities. College is
Absolutely.
expensive, man. Look for those scholarships. And we already talked about having the right SAT and ACT scores to get some of those
Yep.
scholarships. Also finding people for recommendation letters.
Right. So you're going to need those recommendation letters in the fall. And it is very, very rude to show up in the fall and say, hey, can you have a letter for me in 2 weeks? If you want a good recommendation letter, you need to ask them in the spring. You need to be getting your resume together. That's going to be part of what you submit in your application. And what you do is you submit, like over the summer, you're going to give your recommenders, give them your resume, give them a copy of your draft college essay so that they know more about you, because you may think that the teachers know a lot about you.
I can't hear you again, Bobby, but what I would also suggest to parents is have your student also take their Clifton Strengths Assessment.
Yes.
So they can give that to the people that are giving them the recommendation letters, because they can speak to the things that you're good at. And I love that. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that is a good idea to go ahead and schedule that Clifton Strengths Assessment. That's something that you can do as students very easily. This is something you do in group classes or individually. And that's, I think, the beginning part of figuring out, what your career should be and what your major is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can get that Clifton Strengths Assessment on my website, KristinClark.com, or you can go to Gallup.com and get that as well. So, all right. So, Bobby, it's really 4 major things that we've talked about. It's thinking about careers.
Yep.
Thinking about your colleges. Getting your SAT and ACT tests scheduled. And then next spring, going and working with your mentors to get those letters of recommendation. I mean, that's the big thing. Well, and then scholarships. It's 5. Yeah,
right.
Looking for those scholarships.
List of colleges and scholarships that can help you pay for them. Absolutely.
And by the way, I mean, a lot of this, could they wait and do that next year? Yeah, they could.
Can.
Yeah, they can.
It's just rushed if you do, right?
Yeah. Get it done now. It's stuff that you can get under your belt, and then you're going to be set up for like really nicely set up to start doing college visits over the summer.
Absolutely right. And I think that's the thing, is if you're picking your colleges in the fall of senior year, you're not going to have time to visit. And the way you figure out what college you might want to go to is by visiting. You don't have to visit every one of them, but getting a feel for what it feels like. That's the only way you know.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. We're good.
All right.
And by the way, you get that college planning timeline.
Absolutely.
At KristinClark.com /download-timeline.
Excellent. All right. See you next week.
All right. Bye.